Did you inherit $1 million from your grandparent, or are you about to become wealthy from someone else's hard work? If you say yes to these questions, this show is not for you. You, the hardworking, committed, and ambitious professional who have a 9-to-5 corporate job or a 12-hour shift worker keeping the assembly line running. Perhaps you run your gig as a freelancer, or maybe you run a small business. You are in the right place. Welcome to the Career Evangelist Podcast, where you get your weekly tips, ideas, strategies, and inspiration to find purpose in what you do so you can build a career you are passionate about and live a fulfilled life. Here is your host, Bola.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Career Evangelist Podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome our guest, Dr. Debra Clary. Dr. Debra is a leadership strategist, TEDx speaker, and the founder of the Clary Group. Debra has spent over 4 decades leading and inspiring teams at some of the world's most iconic brands, such as Coca-Cola, Jack Daniel, and Humana. She's known for helping leaders harness the power of curiosity to drive transformation, innovation, and connection. Her new book, The Curiosity Curve, A Leader's Guide to Growth and Transformation Through Bold Questions, reveal how leaders can use curiosity as a strategic tool, not just as a soft skill, but to spark engagement, creativity, and performance. Today, we are going to unpack how curiosity can transform your leadership, your culture, and your career. Without further ado, let me welcome our guest. Hi, Dr. Debra. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It's good to have you. So why are you telling us to be curious? I'm curious to know.
So you must be a curious person if you're asking that question. And it's not just intuitively you think, oh, it would be really good to ask more questions so I get better in a broader perspective. But we also have science. We have data that shows that there's a direct correlation between leadership, curiosity, and performance. So if you are an individual contributor or if you are a leader, you're leading a team, that it will actually drive performance of your team, your organization.
Yeah, so it's good to be curious. So what inspired you to write this book? Why are you writing this book at this point, telling people to be curious?
Well, it started with a joke. So I was on a train from Rome to Florence a couple years ago. It was a beautiful fall day, and I'm just taking in the breathtaking scenery from that trip. And the man next to me, a handsome Italian, he said to me, "Are you American?" And I said, "Why, yes, I am." And he said, "Oh, I have the best American joke." I said, "All right." I lean in, I'm intrigued. And he said, "What do you get when you ask an American a question?" I don't know. He goes, "You get an answer." And I smiled politely, in the American way, but I didn't get the joke. And so as I spent the next week in Italy observing Italians and other Europeans, I noticed their conversations were different than what I was accustomed to back home. And it was a conversation. It was going deeper on the inquiry, not just answering the question. So it really began with a joke. And then I began to think, could curiosity be a solution to what we're facing in corporations in America today?
Yeah. So that led you to putting this book together. And I know you identify 4 zones to the curiosity curve. Can you walk us through those 4 zones? What do we need to know about those 4 zones, Dr. Debra?
Yes. So when we did our primary research, we first wanted to understand, is there a connection between leadership, performance, and curiosity? And the answer was yes, there's a direct correlation. And then our next piece was, well, if curiosity can be learned, how would we measure curiosity? And then again, more research ensued. And so we determined that there were 4 factors of curiosity, and that is exploration, focus engagement, inspirational creativity, and openness to new ideas. So exploration is about, you're dealing with someone that's in that mode, is they're saying, wow, what have we not considered? Like, what is the big idea out there? They're wanting to explore possibilities to solving a problem or an opportunity. The next one is openness to new ideas. So you know that you are dealing with someone that's in this phase if they say, what have we not tried? Or when someone comes to them with an idea, they say, tell me more. Tell me more. Focus engagement is about listening deeply, not just to the responses, but also kind of the emotion behind that conversation. And then the last one is inspirational creativity. And this one that says, wait, I look at that industry and then I look at our industry and I'm wondering if what we can learn. So they take disparate thoughts and put them together for a new idea. This is really around innovation. So in addition to that, we created a diagnostic tool that will measure your level of curiosity. So if you take my assessment, which is 6-7 minutes long, and you can find it on my website, you'll find out your current level of curiosity. And the beauty of this is curiosity can be learned and developed.
I like that. So what you are saying, if we take your assessment, that would show us our curiosity level. But I'm also curious again to know how I can learn about curiosity, because I like the 4 zones that you identify: exploration, openness to new ideas, focus engagement, and inspiration, creativity. But when we hear openness to new ideas, specifically, what if something is what I do not believe in? Being open, how does that look like? Does that mean I should at least listen and hear what they are saying before I make my own judgments? Can you touch more on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something that occurred early in my career when I was working for Frito-Lay and I was a regional sales manager, and corporate decided, in addition to all the salty snacks that we distributed, they wanted to do a sweet, dessert line. Now, working with Teamsters and route drivers, they were not open to putting out new products. I mean, it's going to be a lot more work for them. Yeah, they're going to get additional income from that, but they weren't really interested in it. And of course, if you don't get the route people behind the people that deliver the product, it's not going to go anywhere. So I brought them into the office and I said, here's what they're wanting to do. What do you all think about this? And instantly they started talking about all the reasons it wouldn't work. And I wrote them on a flip chart. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, I get that. And then I said, now let's just go get a crazy idea. What if we said we really wanted to do this? What are your ideas that would overcome these barriers that you just mentioned? Long pause, silent. And then they started ideating. And I go, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. We took those ideas, we sent them to corporate and said, these are the ways that it could be really successful. And they implemented those ideas. We went on to having the largest route average in the country. And it was because I was open to hearing their point of view and open to their ideas, and then we implemented them. That's what I mean by openness to new ideas.
So out of all these 4 zones, which of them do you think leaders struggle the most with, and why?
I actually think they struggle with all of them. And the reason is that leaders have been conditioned that they need to have all the answers. So the best leaders have all the answers. And it's actually the reverse of that. I encourage leaders, when somebody asks them a question, the most powerful thing they can say is, I don't know. And what that does is showing vulnerability. And then the next thing out of their mouth is, let's explore ways that we could answer this question, right? So now you're inviting your team in to help you solve a problem. So I think it's, one is we've been conditioned to have all the answers. And secondly, we have time constraints. there's a lot on our calendar every day, and we have pressure to meet those goals. And so because of that, we just give an answer and then we move on. And when we do that, we give an answer for one person. We've solved one problem, but we haven't developed that individual to think for themselves.
Okay, that's so good. So I like the concept of I don't know, right? Because at least no one knows it all. And I think it's difficult for leaders to admit that they don't know because it shows vulnerability, as you rightly said. So for a leader that want to continue to also grow and show curiosity, what are some, I'll call it, bold questions that you think they should be asking their team that will guide them through these curiosity zones?
That's a good question. I mean, one thing would be is when you're presenting a strategy or, a concept that has to get executed, is ask your team, what have we not thought about? And pause again and let them begin to answer that. It's again showing that you are open to looking at new ways of doing things because you want this to be successful, and you're demonstrating you have confidence in them that they can come up with ideas as well.
Yeah, that's so good. So, to individual contributors listening to us now, how can you tell us how can they use curiosity to accelerate their career um, in the corporate America?
Yeah. So the one thing I would be thinking about if I were earlier in my career would be, what is my like current skill set, and then if my aspiration is to be an executive, then ask what skills do I need to develop to be an executive, and then it's about current state, then future state, and then working on those gaps to actually then have those skills of an executive.
Okay. So you've worked in multi-billion dollar brands. So can you share some maybe an example of how curiosity personally shaped your career journey?
Yeah. So after I told you that I had been in Italy and I heard a joke, and it was then quickly followed up by a question. I was sitting next to our CEO who was leading a $100 billion company. And he turned to me in a meeting when somebody was presenting at the front of the room, and he quietly said, "Do you think curiosity can be learned, or is it innate?" And so it was the joke followed by a question that really changed the trajectory of the work that I'm doing now. So after 4 decades in corporate America, navigating complex systems, having many different roles, I felt called to go do this work on how we could improve performance and belonging and connection in the workplace. And the data shows that curiosity will drive performance.
And how exactly do you do that? What are some organizations that you are working with today to help with this curiosity and continue to drive this message?
Yes. So I work mostly with executive teams. And the reason for that is that culture and leadership are synonymous. So starting at the top and getting the executive team in alignment around the power of curiosity, really around the power of a learning organization, the power of leaving space for questions. And they take the assessment, we do an accountability plan, and then from there, they can roll it out to the rest of the organization. But for me, I start with the executives because they can drive the greatest return.
Well, that's so good. So you start with them and you cascade it down the organization. So now, how can we use curiosity to fuel innovation and solve problem in the workplace? Because at the end of the day, if I look at all these tech companies, I'm sure that they are we say they are very, very innovative, but the starting point will be curiosity, and that it means what can we create? What have we not thought of? So how can we now use this curiosity to fuel innovation in the workplace?
Yeah, it starts with a question. it actually starts with the question, why is this important? How could we do this differently? What needs to exist for us to bring this into fruition? It's about getting clear on asking questions. And as leaders, it's incredibly important that you reward people that ask questions and have ideas.
No, you are talking about asking questions, and I've been in meetings where, even to me, it has happened before. I was sitting down there thinking of certain questions, but I did not ask. For me, maybe sometimes it will be, oh, will this be what people call stupid question? And people often say that. And I get emails at work and people, oh, sorry to ask this stupid question. And some people, they restrain themselves not asking this question because they don't want to appear stupid or vulnerable. What are some ways that they can use to overcome this, what I call self-imposed restriction from asking questions?
Mm-hmm. Well, it begins with your own mindset and your own belief in yourself and the confidence that you have in yourself. You're at that organization for a reason. I mean, it was probably a competitive interview. You were successfully chosen, so you know that you have skills that the company has hired you for. So it's one is reminding yourself that I'm here to make a contribution and an impact. And if I'm not asking questions for whatever reason, taught not to ask questions, or I don't feel confident in my intellect, you have to begin with your own mindset to say, my role is to make an impact and a contribution. And the way in which I do that is by challenging the status quo or by asking questions that move people forward. I highly encourage everyone that's listening is just to remove that word stupid from your vocabulary.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. Now, Dr. Debra, I want to hear some of the questions that you've asked, and I want to hear from you. What's the best question that you think you've ever asked, or maybe ask someone or ask yourself that actually change your perspective, maybe towards life in your career or anything?
Yeah, so I think there are two of my favorites that I ask myself. So when I talk about mindset, I'm really serious about this, right? That everything begins in your own mind. And we have 80,000 thoughts a day. And about 85% of them are the same thoughts you had the day before. So it's one about managing our thoughts. So thoughts come into our head. And for me, it might be a negative thought. And the first thing I say is it true? Like what I'm thinking, is it actually true? And I might say, no, that's not true. You've made that up. I move on. But if I come in and I say, wow, that's a true thought, the next question I ask myself is, who would you be without that thought? Oh man, I'd be more joyful if I didn't have that thought.
I like that. That's actually good. So I'll call it curiosity practice. So that's good. Thanks for sharing that. Um, Now, as we are wrapping it, Dr. Debra, what's one thing that leaders and professionals can do today to step into their curiosity zone?
It would be starting with saying to yourself, I recognize that curiosity is a fuel for innovation. I recognize that curiosity will help me build my career. And so then it's take the assessment and say, what's my current state of curiosity? Now, I'd also encourage you to have your team take it, because if your leader is not curious and you're highly curious, you're going to get your ideas knocked down or not even heard about. But if it's understanding the environment that you're working in, that's when real growth can happen.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Debra. Now, your book, The Curiosity Curve, where can we find it?
Yes, thank you for asking. You can find it on Amazon, and it's The Curiosity Curve by Dr. Debra Clary. And if you want to take the assessment, You can also take it in the book, but you can also take it from my website, and it's a complimentary assessment. And my website is www.debraclary.com. And Debra is Debra.
Thank you. It's good having you on the show, Dr. Debra. Thank you for sharing your wealth of wisdom and knowledge with us on curiosity. I'm more than curious now. Find your book and continue on this journey. Thank you for sharing with us.
My pleasure.
All right.